Very welcome to the media conference of the first US-Switzerland Quantum Symposium, which takes place in Arlesheim, a suburb of the city of Basel. The media conference will give you a small insight of what happens during these 2 days here in Basel, in Uptown Basel. And it is mainly a get-together for international experts in quantum technology. It's a place where science meets the industry. This media conference will take about 45 minutes, including your questions. We have several speakers, scientists and partners from the industry talking to you, giving a small insight. And at the end of the media conference, you will get the chance to ask questions yourself. You have 2 options to do that. One is by Zoom call. You can ask your questions directly. For this, please turn on your camera, ask your questions and raise your hand. Second option is write your questions via Zoom, Messenger, or via YouTube. And please, of course, present yourself and then ask your questions. So I pass to the first speaker. It's Damir Bogdan, CEO from Uptown Basel Infinity. Please, Damir.
Thank you. It was a pleasure today to see academia and industry partners collaborating, exchange their ideas, to see how they pursue into the same direction, in the direction of the era of quantum computing. For us, we are very proud to have been able, together with our partners, with our sponsors, especially with the University of Basel, with the University of Chicago, and all the industry partners we've got here, like IBM, D-Wave Systems, and many more, to gather that many experts in one day. For us at QuantumBasel, it is very important to see what is going on in the world of quantum, and when we see that there is something important like quantum safe encryption, to tackle this and then to talk about. And today, it was also important to see that we do not overpromise, that we face reality, what is really possible with quantum computing, what is research, and what are up-to-date use cases where industry partners today already can profit from. And me personally, I was really thrilled to learn and to see from all these papers, from all these researchers, but also in the afternoon from the industry panel, what is happening already. And I've also satisfied to see that the important subject of, let's say, quantum safe encryption is also already positioned well, be it in the IBM Research Lab, be it with ID Quantic, or be it with many other people. We had banks here in the audience, we had governmental representative in the audience. And this all led us to the conclusion that I'm more than happy to announce that after this first successful day of this US-Switzerland Quantum Conference, we will repeat this, we will make an annual format out of it, and it won't be called US-Switzerland Quantum Symposium anymore, because we are expanding globally. From next year onwards, mid-March, we will have at least 7 countries with us, talking again about the crossroads between academia, where is the research, between industry partners, what are use cases, between startups coming along, and we also had education here with people like Elisa Torres talking about girls in quantum and why it is important to have girls in quantum as well. So I'm really happy that from next year onwards, this conference will be on our annual schedule. And as I said, it will be unique in a sense that it will combine academia with industry partners and with our whole ecosystem. And on that, I would like to hand over to Professor Daniel Loss, who is the host of the University of Basel and who will say his takeaway from today.
Thank you, Damian Bogdan, CEO Uptown Basel, and welcome Professor Dr. Daniel Loss. He will talk about academic highlights of the Quantum Symposium.
Okay, so I'm the chair of the conference of the symposium here, so I'm a little bit responsible for the academic part, and together with my colleague, co-chair David Ashvalom from the University of Chicago. We had the idea to create a kind of a new type of interface between basic science in the field of quantum computation and application. I have been in the field now for many, many years, and if I think back, more than 20 years, if I think back in the beginning of the days when quantum computing came up, we had quite a few conferences of the type where it was very wide. Many fields were covered, and then in the years people specialized in all their subfields, platforms, specific conferences then took place, and it was more and more specialization. And for me, it's now amazing, great pleasure actually to see that we are coming together again as a large community working in various different physical areas on quantum computing, having the same kind of goal, but developed in different areas, different techniques and advantages and ideas. And in particular, to see now a system or a environment, ecosystem as it is called, being so diverse and just populated by outstanding people, which also drive the field, so to speak, a little bit in parallel. And the moment has really come now that we are coming together. We bring together basic science and industry use cases at a very high level. So to say a little bit about the program which we had today. So it's actually a 2-day symposium, and I think from the program we covered now about the third, a little bit more, of the scientific talks today. And it started out in the morning with, I would say for many people, extremely exotic type of platforms for quantum computing, which are pursued by a certain part of the research community, which is called topological excitations, topological quantum computation, based on these famous Majorana fermions. And there, the field is still, compared to other fields, based, let's say, on superconducting qubits pursued by IBM or also by D-Wave companies. You will hear more about this later. They are in their infancy, but still they provide very, very interesting ideas, and it's very exciting. So we started with 3 talks in this area, started by Ali Assani from Princeton University, and moving on then, so an experimental talk first from the United States, then a theory talk by my colleague, Professor Klinowaya from the University of Basel, describing the need of material properties and the importance of controlling topological excitations through material properties like spin-orbit interaction, and pointing out what type of experiments still need to be done to be sure that we have all the ingredients which can lead then in the end to the kind of physics we are envisioning, namely topological excitations, which eventually can then lead to qubits, which have a higher protection against the noise, the decoherent effect of the environment. And then in the third talk by Shawani from New York University, he gave a fantastic talk about the materials which he's developing, precisely provide platforms where these kind of effects can be studied. And then we moved more to more, let's say, advanced platforms in solid state. These are spin qubits. They were then covered by colleagues from University of Basel, Professor Zumbühl, and then also from Professor Mark Erickson from University of Madison. both leaders in the field, and they showed us how far the field in that area has progressed. And when we say far progressed, then we are talking here about 3-4 qubits, which to some ears might not sound much, but in that field, tremendous progress has been taking place over the last few years because many developments which we have heard today have been achieved, material improvement, control of the material, and the improvement of measurement designs. And then, there were 2 talks which were showing us that we can actually do kind of the opposite. We can use parts of a quantum computing technology, namely qubits, for sensing, because qubits are extremely sensitive to any influences from the environment, and to some extent this is annoyance when we want to build quantum computer. On the other hand, we can use them actually as a tool. We can use them to measure, and they are highly sensitive, and one can use them NV centers, as we've heard in a very nice talk from Peter Maurer from University of Chicago, to measure, for example, properties in biological material, which was completely impossible to think even about a few years ago. And this goes into the field of quantum sensing with qubits, and we've heard very great developments in this area. The reaction of the audience for me was also very interesting to see, because it's kind of an experiment from people from academia, because we haven't really had this kind of interface with our colleagues from industry. And I think we started to appreciate the difficulties on both sides and how important it actually is that both sides develop, so that the ecosystem can be developed. And I think we have here now a platform created. I mean, I'm very grateful to the local host here in Uptown Basel, that they have provided this venue and this support. And I think it's a symposium which very well serves its intended purpose. So I think that is what I wanted to say for the moment.
Thank you so much, Professor Dr. Daniel Loss, for this very interesting insight into academic world. So I would say we are ready for the next speaker, which is Dr. Heike Riel, lead of IBM Research Quantum Europe. And IBM is an industry partner, and she will talk about some industrial use cases.
Yeah, thank you very much for having me, and thank you for having us also as a core partner here at QuantumBasel, the Center of Competence for Quantum and Artificial Intelligence. It's a great pleasure to really provide the quantum computation and build quantum computers, right? We are, since more than 7 years, working on quantum computers and having them actually available through the cloud, and now also here in Switzerland. We work with a lot of partners together on developing quantum applications in all the different industries. But in particular, also important to that is also the first part is developing the entire system. You need the hardware, you need the software, and you need to work on the applications to drive towards quantum advantage, which means demonstrating that quantum computers have an advantage compared to classical computers. So the hardware has made a lot of progress. We are developing towards the performance, increasing the performance, improving it by focusing on 3 different metrics: the number of qubits, first; second, the quality of the qubits and the system; and third, the speed. For this, we have to work to optimize the entire architecture of the computer, the classical computer and the quantum computer, to drive performance. On the other hand, we are also working together with industry to develop algorithms for applications. And this is an important part because a lot of things are happening also by improving algorithms. And so bringing these streams together then can provide the advantages for the industrial applications in the future. So you may ask, what are quantum computers used for? Why are they interesting? Because they are interesting, they can solve in the future problems which classical computers cannot solve. And so there are many applications where this is the case. And today we live by knowing that we don't have a solution, but we use approximations. And for some of these things, approximations are fine. But for many problems, actually, a much better computer would be better. And so that's why we work on quantum computers. And examples for this you find in many different industries. So for example, optimization problems. Optimizing the routing of ships or also of trucks. It's a difficult problem. And there are algorithms today, they're also okay, but there may be better algorithms by using quantum computers. And even you can really save a lot of energy and things by then using quantum computers in the future. Then this is just one example. Example in the chemical part, simulating molecules, finding better materials. Why materials? In materials, a lot of innovation drives actually also industries. And today, getting a new material from the research lab into a production takes about 10 to 20 years. And if we're able to accelerate this process, then we can bring a lot of innovation and value to the economy. This holds also in the medical space, looking for new drugs, understanding protein folding, etc. There are many different applications where quantum computers can help in the future. And so we are developing not only the hardware, but also the software, because the software is important that you do not need to be a quantum expert to actually use quantum computers. And this software stack is currently developed. It's Qiskit, it's an open source software package, where we also work with open innovation together with a large community to develop the software that people can use quantum computers and they don't need to fully understand how they work. That's really the goal we are driving to. We work here with a lot of partners in our IBM Quantum Network, and one of the partners is also QuantumBasel. And in order to make people also understand quantum computers and be able to use them, we are developing also education modules. We are working in workshops, in summer schools, etc., to help the public also to understand what quantum computers are, what they can do, and how to program them in the future. So I think here at this event, I was really excited because there's so many, there are the scientists, as Daniel pointed out, who present their deep expertise and the new things coming up, but also on the industry side, there were industrial representatives who look into quantum computing to really solve these problems they worry about. And so bringing this community together here in Basel helps to really accelerate the innovation and bring quantum computing much faster to fruition. Thank you very much for having me, and I wish good luck with the next meeting, as you announced, Damir. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Heike Riel, for this insight into the opportunities for the industry. And we pass on to the next speaker, which is Marie Tom, Vice President of Quantum Business Innovation at D-Wave. And he as well will inform us about the current industry cases.
Thank you very much, Janine. Yeah, and thank you very much, Damir, and for Daniel as the host to have us here. It's a pleasure to be here to talk to you about quantum computing. As Janine said, I'm the Vice President of Quantum Business Innovation, and I have the great pleasure of having worked with D-Wave for 20 years, building quantum computers and bringing them to customers to help them solve some of their most challenging business problems. I think I have some slides here, yeah. So D-Wave is really focused on practical quantum computing and allowing people to use it in applications to create business value. And it's a great pleasure for us to work with QuantumBasel so that they can enable those in industry to leverage this innovative technology and create business value and help them unlock some of their most challenging business cases. At D-Wave, we're a full stack, comprehensive quantum computing company. So we've actually had 5 generations of quantum computers that we've built. The latest is our Advantage system, which has 5,000 qubits in it. It's one of the largest programmable quantum systems available in the world. And we have several of those systems available in the cloud, and programmers can access it right now through through the D-Wave Leap Quantum Cloud Services. That's where you can get immediate access to those quantum computers. You can look at programming examples in different applications. You can even get access to an integrated developer environment there, so you have an opportunity to run some of the programs that have been written and get a sense for what types of use cases would benefit from being able to leverage quantum computing technology. Also, it's important to note that with quantum computers, really what we want to do is we want to be able to leverage their strengths while also being able to make the best use of classical computing alongside, because both of the two technologies are complementary to one another. So we have available hybrid solvers in our cloud platform, which allow folks to build applications at full production scale and see demonstrations of business value, where it's making use of classical computing technology in the cloud to sort of work on the full-scale problem. And then as it's working on that problem, breaking pieces out of it and passing it to quantum computers, which are then passing up solutions to be reincorporated. And it's through that complementary interactions and that workflow between classical computers and what they do best and what the quantum processors are able to do, that it's really taking away a sort of a decision dilemma that are facing businesses now. There have been demonstrations on our systems of quantum material simulations that have been shown to be 3 million times faster than with classical computing technology. And the challenge there is that that 3 million times advantage materialized in 2 product generations. So by enabling business users to leverage these hybrid technologies, they're not having to sort of stare in a crystal ball to predict the moment when it's going to really disrupt their business. They can leverage the technology, build with it, and receive the compounding benefits as this entire community, all of the academic researchers who are pushing the bounds in quantum computing and the technologists, bring new technology to them. It's accessible through an Ocean Python programming language, which is our Ocean software development kit. And we also provide professional services, and we do that in concert with QuantumBasel to help accelerate people on their quantum journey, whether it's from problem discovery up to full production application release. Today, I was able to share some use cases, particularly this one at the Port of Los Angeles, where they're making use of quantum hybrid technology to optimize the way they're moving containers at Pier 300 at that port there. And through the use of that quantum hybrid method, they were able to increase the amount of cargo that their rubber-tired gantries, those big cranes, were handling by 60%, while also reducing the truck turnaround time in the yard by 12%. And at our Qubits User Group conference, Ed Heinbockel and David Osby, who were behind this, were describing how when this application is running in production, it's calling our quantum computers every 15 seconds, 2 shifts a day, 6 days a week. So really exciting to see these gains in an application of this type. And we've also seen work from CaixaBank. They have a lot of proprietary knowledge and expertise that we at D-Wave don't have, right? We're experts at building quantum computers. And they were able to learn the programming language and take some important applications in investment portfolio hedging and also bond portfolio optimization and reproduce results that they were getting with their existing methods, so they have confidence that the calculations can produce results that, that match what they are also seeing, but reducing the computational time by 90%. So these are just some of the exciting capabilities that people have with quantum computers today. And we heard today from a lot of technologists who are really studying and advancing the science and pushing the bounds of our understanding of quantum systems for accelerating information processing in the future. So yeah, it's a very exciting time to be involved in quantum computing, and I'm excited to be on the panel to answer your questions as well.
Thank you, Maritam,
Yeah.
for this insight. And now, dear guests back home, it's your turn to ask questions. As I just said, you have 2 options to do this: directly via Zoom call and by the chat function in YouTube or in Zoom. If you come directly via Zoom call, there are some rules. Please turn on your camera. That's the first rule. Second, raise your hand. And if you see your face on the big screen, please turn on your microphone and then present yourself and ask the questions. Let's see if there are questions coming in. Maybe you were all so clear talking about, okay, we have one question from Rainer Weihhofen, finance and economy. And the question is, which industry will benefit most? Which use cases promise new business models? Probably this is a question about industry, and I will pass it to you guys first, Heike, Riel, and Maritam.
So Which industry will benefit most is not so easy to say, because you can find use cases in each of the industries, right? Whether this is in transport, or whether this is in chemistry and healthcare, there in all of the industries you can find different use cases. We talked a bit about optimization before. So optimization, this can be supply chain optimization, this can be transport optimization, as we've seen also with my colleague. So there are many different applications, and which one is benefiting most, this will be seen also in the future, but every industry will benefit of it. Then in the second aspect, which use cases promise new business models? Again, also here, it's very important that you, as the expert in the industry, will also think about what quantum may enable for you in the industry, what are the difficult problems you have to solve, and where you can benefit. I can give you a few examples of a new business model you can think of. If you can do calculations, optimization calculations, routing optimization in real time because of the power of the computation you may have in the future, then it allows you completely new things of optimization. So one example is, real-time calculations of mobility problems, right? If you look at the cities today, we may optimize the routing of your car, right? You find the best path. But if you take into account what is the best means of transport I should use at this moment, then you need to think also, what is the weather? Where do I need to go? What type of means of transport do I have available? And so this could optimize really the path and the energy efficiency in the future in real time. That's just one example.
You want to add something, Damir?
Yeah, perhaps I would allow, if I may, rephrase the question. And it's not which industry will benefit the most, but which industry will benefit when. And as Heike Riel just pointed out, the logistical ones are sure the one which already are benefiting of, as we saw from the example from Meriton before, from D-Wave. But I also want to raise the hand to the finance industry, because within the finance industry, risk portfolio optimization and other kind, and also in the insurance company, this is something which can be raised already. And in the third time frame, perhaps, there is something, this so-called quantum safe encryption, where there will be a time when a quantum computer can encrypt the RSA, and this will lead then to open data. And we do not know when this is, be it in 5 years, in 10 years, or whenever. But what we know is that we have already to get started today, and this is the important point. This is why I would allow to reframe the question and saying not which industry, but when.
Yeah, and maybe I could add a point as well. I mean, I think one of the things I would say is that a quantum computer is a device that uses quantum effects to allow us to accelerate information processing. But once we have the idea to build a device like that, there are different models for how to leverage those effects to our advantage. And the models are maturing at different rates. So in one model, we're using quantum effects to allow us to move between solutions quickly. And that's really enabling us through a lot of the optimization applications that Heike was referring to. And at D-Wave, we're certainly seeing that in terms of logistics, scheduling, autonomous vehicle routing, in fact, manufacturing floors. It might also be multi-vehicle routing. In the life sciences spaces, we're seeing that in like protein design or drug trial optimization tasks. And then in the finance industry, and many of the examples that Damir was talking about. And what we're seeing also is that in some of the models yet to come, they're going to be very powerful. They'll allow our computers to like store a lot more information and process over that information. And that will unlock applications to do with like quantum chemistry simulations and differential equations. So I think we're at the beginning of a long journey and a really exciting one in terms of uncovering those opportunities.
Thank you. I would say we go to the next question, written by Eugen Albisser, Eugene Albisser, Technik und Wissen. And the question is, what study is available in Switzerland in the field of quantum technology at University of Basel? And what about training for companies in Uptown Basel? I would say first question about the University of Basel goes to Daniel Loss, and the second one to Damir Bogdan.
Okay, that is a very good question. I mean, there are actually quite a number of studies available in Switzerland at the universities, not only at the University of Basel, but I'm from the University of Basel, so I know there we have certainly a educational program which has a very strong focus on what we call condensed matter physics, and quantum technology is a very important part of this. So we cover many fields in this area. This can be in solid state systems, can be by transport experiments one can learn technologies there. It can also be in semiconductors. It can also be with light supported experiments and also optical atomic systems. We have programs at the University of Basel. I should also emphasize that the University of Basel was, I would say, probably the first university in Switzerland where quantum computing was taught at undergraduate and graduate level. Already almost 20 years ago, we had always special courses in that field, and quite a few people who have been trained at the University of Basel are working now with my colleague at IBM and at other places in the world in this field. We have in particular now, since 2 years, we have a National Center of Excellence, which are called NCCRs, on quantum computing at the University of Basel. University of Basel is the home institution of this national program, which involves basically all major players in this field in Switzerland. So these are both ETH in Zurich and in Lausanne, EPFL. But in particular, we have a very strong collaboration with IBM Rüschlikon, where we work in particular on solid state, on semiconductor platforms for quantum computation, spin physics, and the program is also called NCCR Spin. And this is a platform where many young people are now being trained, and that is something which we find and think is very important. So currently we have actually an online course on the elementary fundamentals of quantum computing and spin physics, and this is actually really very heavily subscribed. So if you are interested, I can only recommend to tune in that and look up our program. You will get access to this program no matter where you are on this planet, and I think that certainly will be a very interesting entrance to the field. I think also in terms of throughput, we have at the University of Basel a very large part of grad students, PhD students and postdocs working basically, I would say 80% in this area or related areas. So it's a very, very important field. And for us, it has become now extremely important also to work with kind of places which are more oriented towards industry cases like Uptown Basel, which I think is a very good development now, building up the ecosystem with this organization. And I think I should pass on now,
Before we answer the second part of that question from Eugene Albiser, I asked the cameraman, we don't have any screen anymore. Is everything okay? Can we continue as nothing would have happened? There we go. Okay, okay. Then I pass the second question, or the second part of that question, to Damir Bogdan. The question was, what about the training for companies in Uptown Basel who are interested in that quantum technology?
Our investor, Dr. Thomas Stehelin, together with the ARI developer Hans-Jörg Fankhauser, soon recognized the importance of future technologies like quantum computing. And this is when I came here to Quantum Basel that we started to enable a broad array of technology partners to see what is here, because you can't, in quantum computing, we've learned from Professor Daniel Loss that there is not just one architecture, there are different kinds of architectures. So over Uptown Basel, we do have a direct connection to the quantum computers of IBM, as well as from D-Wave Systems, and there will be more to follow. And we provide this kind of access for our industry partners, but also for academia partners, which usually do not have this kind of access, because we are talking here about premium access, which you have to be a hub to get access to. And so this technology access does come along with the engineers and also educators from those companies, and they, together with my team here at Quantum Basel, provide workshops for industry partners who aren't not aware what quantum computers potential is. We educate them, or already have quantum physicists in their field. We help them with the algorithms, or see perhaps they've got concrete use cases and they just need the technology access. Then they can also talk with us, and then we will refer to other use cases which are similar. So there's a broad array, not just of technology, but also of education, which students, but also industry partners can have over Uptown Basel.
So Rainer Weihhofen and Eugene Alberser, we hope your questions are answered. And we go on to Florian Migoni. D-Wave is especially good for optimization use cases, but is there any way to do any kind of quantum machine learning with quantum annealing technology?
Yeah, so that's an excellent question, Florian. There's actually a relatively excellent fit between the fundamental machine instruction of our quantum annealing model quantum computers and machine learning models. And they range from those that have applications that you can use right now, and those that are like on the research side, where people are sort of pushing the bounds of models and ideas of how to use our quantum computers. So actually, just a couple of weeks ago, we announced that we were including a feature in our Ocean programming kit to allow people to use scikit-learn in their machine learning workflows, and they can use our quantum processors as part of a feature selection technique in their predictive model building for machine learning. So it's absolutely possible for people to use quantum computing in data analysis tasks and machine learning tasks today. And there have been a lot of really interesting research papers published talking about ways to use discrete models and sampling from, let's say, like restricted Boltzmann machine models in variational autoencoders in machine learning and discrete variational autoencoders. So for those who are really expert in the art of machine learning, there's some great frontiers and research open questions that are yet to be solved, and we'd be really interested to see how people can sort of expand on the knowledge that exists today in terms of those use cases. And for those software developers who are basically working in business right now and looking to incorporate quantum computing in their machine learning workflows, using the scikit-learn toolkit for those Python programmers is an excellent way to get started.
Thank you, Mari. Maybe there's a next question coming on. Again, Rainer Weihhofen, Finanz und Wirtschaft. Are there already startups that want to earn money with quantum computing? I don't know to who I pass this question to. Damir Bogdan, please.
Yeah, that's an excellent question, because I've mentioned startups before, and yes, there are many startups in the field of quantum computing, not that many as in the field of fintech. And we've got a threefold approach. First of all, we asked Plug and Play from Silicon Valley to join us here on site in Basel, because we saw the necessity to have a global outreach for startups. So Plug and Play is one of the top 10 investors into quantum startups, and they are screening for us startups in the field of quantum computing and artificial intelligence. Secondly, we also found soon out that we can have our own tailor-made approach. So we were happy to announce that about a month ago, we opened up a new company which is called Kai Ventures, which is run by Alexandra Beckstein. And Kai Ventures, Q&I, is here to fund startups in the field of quantum computing and artificial intelligence. And the Kai Venture is now opened with a fund of 50 million Swiss francs, 50 million Swiss francs, which is here especially just for this startup field. And the third approach is that we want to bring startups here on site, because in Uptown Basel, within a couple of years, we want to have at least 100 companies here on site. And I'm happy to announce that with Kipu and Moonlight AI, next week already, the first 2 startups will join us here on site, and more to follow.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Florian Fels, Handelszeitung. first question, what are the biggest challenges to bring quantum computing to the next level? I think this is a question again to you
Heike.
too. Heike.
Yes, so we're working, as said, on quantum computing towards universal quantum computers. So we have an approach where we use not quantum annealing, but qubits which we can gate and which we can entangle, and then use the entanglement to solve those complex problems. And the current systems today, they still have some noise. And so we are working actually on methodologies to reduce the noise. That's one thing. To suppress the noise or to mitigate the noise, and towards also the next level then to correct noise and to correct the errors towards building universal quantum computers. And so there's a hardware development to do this, and on the other hand, we are also developing new algorithms where you can bring kind of bigger problems. You can divide them into smaller problems, and these smaller problems you can run on the hardware which is available today. So with these technologies, you can increase the complexity of a problem you can solve with the current hardware. So the biggest thing is really mitigating the noise, correcting the noise, and finding the sweet spot of where you can demonstrate quantum advantage.
And yeah, so I think the thing I would say is that, so at D-Wave, we're building quantum hybrid solvers, which are basically, as I was mentioning before, combining classical computers and quantum computers. And as we're looking at those workflows, what we're finding is that the technology development direction that will allow quantum computers to have the greatest impact in application is as they increase in connectivity, so that the qubits themselves have more highly interconnected. So our current systems have connectivity of 15. Our next generation Advantage 2 processors will have interconnectivity of 20 connections between each of the qubits and other qubits, and also to increase the coherence of our processors. So coherence is basically a measure of how you can basically prevent the outside world from interacting with your quantum computer. You could think about it a little bit as if you opened the freezer and pulled out a bucket of ice cream and could put it back in without a single photon touching your ice cream, then it would be coherent for that period of time. So when quantum processors are coherent, then they're able to perform a calculation without interacting with anything else around them, not even a single photon hits them. So increasing coherence and connectivity is the direction we would take there. In terms of changes in the healthcare industry, so there's a company, Menton AI, that has been pioneering in protein design for therapeutics. So with proteins, you can have really large proteins, which are very selective, but you have to develop them by grinding up compounds and putting them through testing. Or you can computationally design very small ones, but then they're very promiscuous and they react with a lot of things in your body. So they're trying to design proteins at a scale which is sort of in between those two levels, and they've been able to quantum hybridize their protein designs, synthesize the proteins and taken them to live virus testing against COVID-19. So we're really proud to see enterprising companies developing new methods in healthcare there. And I think that advances in personalized medicine will become possible, as well as data analytics to create new methods to improve our healthcare systems and the way that it runs.
We just already jumped to the second question, which is how will quantum computing change the health industry? You just answered part of it. Heike, I saw you want to add something to that?
Yes, for sure. Because I think the healthcare industry is one industry where quantum computation is also very well investigated right now to be applied. And just last week, we had actually a big event where we brought the first quantum computer to Cleveland Clinic. We have a partnership with Cleveland Clinic. I think, Damir, you were also part of the event last week, right? Where we, in particular, use quantum computers and apply and research quantum computers for the application in the healthcare industry. And this touches really the broad application from where can it help with the patient to where can you find new treatments for cancer and other important things, right? So it's a broad coverage on making use of all the different like using it for machine learning, using it for optimization of problems, using it for finding new cures by looking into the physics and nature of molecules, etc. And so we launched last week, actually, this 10-year program where we worked together with Cleveland Clinic and brought the first quantum computer also to a private site, which was also a big event for us.
Congratulations.
The next question is also coming from Florian Fels from the Handelszeitung. It's an interesting question. It's to all of you sitting here. And the question is, if you have to invest 100,000 Swiss francs into a company dealing with quantum computing, where would you put your money? Thank you. 100,000 Swiss francs is not that much, is it?
Well, it depends the leverage. The exit point. So I would like to kick it off. And as you may expect, I don't give you a name of a company, but I give you a name of an institution or an institution as such. If I had 100,000 francs to invest, I would invest into a university or a university of life science and to help them to educate more people in these technologies. Because I think the most important point is that people will have the ability to help and to work within this field. And so if you want to invest 100,000 francs in the future, you have to invest into education. This was your point, wasn't it?
Exactly. You know, I was thinking which company should I give my money? And you know, if you consider, for example, the University of Basel a company, then I would say give it to that company. I mean, we do basic research on quantum computing, and it's I cannot agree more with what Damir said. It's well invested. I think at this point in time, I would say this will bring the biggest return on your 100,000. So we are open. We can talk.
So since we're not going to name a specific company, I guess here.
We're not finished yet.
No, but I'm very happy to add on this because you know, I personally invest my time, my passion, my energy into working on quantum at IBM.
You want the 100,000?
And I think this is the most exciting, right? Because it's my time. It's the the most precious thing you have, right, as a human being, and working on quantum. And I actually really enjoy working with a huge set of very skilled and trained and smart people to drive quantum forward, also in collaboration with my dear friend Daniel and his team and the NCCR spin team and with other people in quantum and with you now, Damir, etc. So I think this is actually what I enjoy and where I invest my time and thus also my money, right?
Well, yeah, so I mean, these are excellent answers. I mean, I think from my perspective, you know, I really got into quantum computing because I wanted to have an impact. It's sort of like it's a tool, it's an engine to basically help you with important business problems. And so it's really incumbent on us to make it easier for people to use. And I think there's a real opportunity to really strengthen our economy by allowing companies to operate more effectively or allow them to react more quickly to changes and external influences in their business environment. So I'd love to, I mean, that's a big part of the reason why we're here, is invested into enabling companies who can, or if there was basically, yeah, enabling companies who can help people with business problems, map it to the quantum computing technology and make that connection between those domain experts and the technology. And that's a big part of what this community is about. So I think that would be really impactful because that's going to create compounding benefits, it's going to create applications for the quantum computers, and it's going to create efficiencies in our economy and help businesses run more effectively, which would be fantastic.
I've got one small thing to Florian Fels as an add-on. We had one presenter today. She founded Girls in Quantum, Elisa Torres from Chile. And Elisa started her initiative with 17 years old, and she already has a global network how to bring girls into quantum. And so, having said about education, I think this is an important fact as well. And if you really want a concrete answer to your question, then Google Girls in Quantum, contact Elisa Torres. She's looking for new founders, new sponsors as well. So perhaps this might be the best education investment you have.
This was very impressive, seeing her on stage talking about that project, yes.
And with that energy she had.
With 17 years, that's great. That really makes my heart bump more. So we have one last question from Seki Seskir. he says or she says, thanks for the opportunity to join in online. The question is, what do you think about global democratization, thank you, of education, knowledge and products in quantum technology in the context of a rising geopolitical strife? Who wants to answer this question?
So, I mean, I can start, right? We have since more than almost 7 years, we've brought the first quantum computer, like the 5 qubits, into the cloud for everyone to access, to really give people the access, accelerate the research, have people learn about quantum computing, get trained about quantum computing in parallel to that access through the cloud. For the 5 qubit processors and also 7 qubit processors, which is still possible, so you can online and get started. We also have created a program for education and outreach. So very early on, we actually put together training material online, which is accessible to everyone. And for us, it was important to make it as simple as possible, but still correct, that people learn the right things. We have also started a couple of years back to build a Qiskit open source textbook, which is also online, where you can learn about how to program a quantum computer. You can learn about the basic concepts of quantum computing. So we are pretty, active to actually make quantum computation accessible, make people learn about it, and thus give the possibility to everyone to get trained about this new technology, and with this also create an open community where people can exchange and do research together in development, and of course also to accelerate the innovation, because only when we have also open innovation and collaboration, we can develop further and accelerate the research and development of this technology.
Yeah, I might say that, like, quantum computing, I really admire exactly that approach that you're describing, Heike. And quantum computing is really a field which brings people with a lot of broad areas of expertise. It could be physics, it could be electrical or mechanical engineering, mathematicians, graph theorists, machine learning experts, software developers. So it's really a community that's built on participation from a lot of different disciplines. Where each one is it's a community of teachers and learners, where each member is sort of bringing their expertise and teaching the rest of the community, and then also learning from that community. And I was really impressed with what Elisa Torres was talking about in terms of like leveling the playing field by building that community in order to be able to make tools and understanding accessible. And we've certainly been working hard by making our Leap cloud platform available in 39 countries worldwide. And also, when you think about the, making available and, publication and presentation of important sort of cutting edge research, like the work that was presented today, and also from the University of Basel, and the network effect of bringing that together with industry, because, it's not possible to have innovation without constraints. It's not really possible to have innovation without sort of a need, right? So when you have people who are struggling in business to increase their efficiency or to reach levels of operation they haven't been able to, that creates the need and the drive to sort of apply quantum computing, and then those domain experts can define the constraints for you that really force you to be innovative in your approach.
I would love to close the Q&A by now, having an eye on the clock, but maybe there is something more to say. Everybody, we make a tour around, everybody 1 to 2 sentences, something you want to say. You don't have to, but you can.
Well, maybe I'll start. I mean, I would just say, please get started today. You don't need to be a quantum physicist to use quantum computers in application, and I think it's easier than you think.
That is a very good fit. I think it's very exciting to be in that field, to learn about it. It's the start of a new era of computing. I may want to add that people don't misunderstand, quantum computing will not replace classical computing, right? in the future of computing will contain the quantum computing, the classical computing, and also hardware, especially for artificial intelligence workloads. And we are in really an exciting time because the computation is so dynamic right now. There will be so many changes coming that I would say it's a bit in the early 70s also, where new types of computation came and we figured out how to use them. And I think this is also where the opportunity is, right? Working the experts in quantum computing together with the industry domain experts to find the right problems to work on those and figure out where the where the innovation and where the gain can be started. But it's really the start of something which will be there and which will continuously develop over many years.
Yeah, I mean, I basically think you have said it all to some extent. Maybe I add another feature here, a viewpoint more from basic science. From basic science, actually, quantum computing is extremely interesting because it will allow us, once we will have a working universal quantum computer, to address fundamental questions. How far can we actually push the laws of quantum physics up to macroscopic scales, right? I mean, one of the driving ideas behind all this is, the entanglement, the Schrödinger cat. These are concepts which started 100 years ago, the field of quantum physics. And all these concepts, they have been proven extremely powerful and true on a very small scale. And now what we do with quantum computing, we want to enhance this scale. We want to enhance this scale to a macro scale. And for us theorists, I'm a theorist, it's a highly non-trivial and a philosophical question. Can we actually then use quantum mechanics at the level where we have almost macroscopic objects which we can put into a coherent superposition and entanglement? And once a quantum computer will be available, first it will actually tell us that it is possible to some extent if the quantum computer is working, and second, we can think of fantastically new experiments in this area to test actually the laws of physics and the laws of quantum physics in particular. So this development, also driven now by the interface with industry, this is also a loop. We have seen this in physics and application throughout the history of physics, that ideas which come out from fundamental foundational thinking, they go into application. Application comes back with better tools which allow us then to ask more fundamental questions. So it's kind of a very nice circle, and we are now in this circle, and this circle is accelerating. So this is a very exciting time. I can only say, if you are interested in this field, join. It's the time now.
Yeah, and exciting time. Heike mentioned the 70s in the classical computer, and we, from our perspective, we think that quantum computer in the next decade will have more acceleration than classical computer had over the last few decades. And having said that, if you just think, and I will come back perhaps to Florian Fell's Handelszeitung's question about healthcare industry, if you are aware of that the FDA already last year renewed its in the so-called FDA Modernization Act, how drug development can be done by saying that the 2 years which are today fixed for animal testing can now be skipped if there are technology who can simulate this kind of drug development tests. So that basically you, with new kind of technology, will be able to develop new kind of drugs without animal testing. So if you just take this notion, and if you know that the regulators are already there, so I'm really looking forward into this future, because this is where we are heading towards, and this will happen. I don't know when, but as I said at the beginning, over the next 10 years, there will be more progress in quantum computer than over classical computer over the last few decades. And this is why I all want to invite you to join us, to visit us here at Uptown Basel. We have open doors. We can show you, educate, and also we can collaborate with you, and we can show you other people who perhaps have more answers to these kind of questions over our network. I'd be glad to see you here.
Damir Bogdan, Daniel Loss, Heike Riel, and Maritam, thank you for the insight you just gave. Thank you for the explanations. Even I could follow and understand a little bit. Thank you for this. And a last hint to the QR code. You hopefully see it now. Exactly. If you scan that QR code, it brings you to the digital press kit with more information, with photos, with different and other insight to the Quantum Symposium that lasts the 2 days. And thank you. And I pass the last words to you two, Damir Bogdan and Daniel Loss, to say goodbye.
Thank you very much for being with us, and we are looking forward for our next second day tomorrow. Daniel?
Yes, I say the same. Thank you for joining and listening to us. And yes, it was a very interesting experience for me here.
Thank you so much.
Bye.
Goodbye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.